Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy i musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom. To jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.
Witamy wszystkich na 419 warsztatach poszukiwaczy wiedzy w języku polskim w niedzielę 29 listopada 2020 roku, a tematem jest druga część 355 warsztatu. I czas przetłumaczony na dzisiaj to jest od 2 godzin 6 minut do 2 godzin 44. Później mamy przerwy, kawałek od 2 godzin 51 do 3:17. Od 3 godzin 20 do 3:38 i ostatni fragment od 3:41 do 3:43. Taki króciutki. A po warsztacie zapraszam do rozmów, zadawania pytań, oczywiście na które postaramy się wspólnie odpowiedzieć. A teraz zaczniemy oglądać. Tak więc zapraszam.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, willing, able. Thank you very much for the question part. As before, we try to answer, try to clear some of the ambiguities which might be. As we started the teaching, in respect to the presence, the position, the knowledge. If we have the presence and the position and the knowledge, what is good of it if we cannot detect it, appreciate it, observe it, or react to it? In essence, we need a confirmation of the presence and the knowledge, what we call observation, what we call in the dimension of the physicality of the man, seeing, the vision. The emotion of the vision is an emotion, even in the physical dimension. If we don't want to see, and the strength of the pain of not to see is so much higher in the strength, we can make ourselves blind to that point, that thing, or the entirety. Mankind has the power through the soul of physicality, through the emotion, to blind himself from seeing. We see many people do this. We say, I was too blind to see. It means I didn't want to see. It's something which was above my threshold of being able to react. The same thing happens with the soul of the man. Seeing is an emotion, and we need to understand that this emotion creates its own condition to see. In the physical world, we open our eyes, we touch. In opening our eyes, we see the interaction of the fields of the environment and the fields of the essence of the entity, and we recognize it as a chair, as our child, as a table, as a car. It's not that we only see the interaction of the fields, we see the interaction of the soul, of the entity. Mankind has to become wise to this. And so in the universe, it'll become the same. But in the dimension of the soul, we might see objects totally in different way. We might see mostly as light because it's an interaction of the fields with a dimension of physicality. But in that interaction of the fields, at the higher order, or at the level of the soul, we might see the existence, confirmation of existence as we see a source of light. That we say, this is such a soul, this is such an intensity, and through the strength of our soul, we recognize it. Might be the mother, might be the father, might be whatever. But in the dimension of the fields, as I've explained in other teaching, of the soul has been encaged by the skull and the blood flow around it. The only way the soul has left itself that it can move in and out with the precision and collective fields, yin and yang, that one is two magnets. You need the north and the south pole that they interact and repel. The division of the brain of the man has created and does create that slight imbalance that allows the fields and the soul to be dynamic in its position. And so the body of the man uses the cavity of the eye, which has no calcium, to be able to transfer its fields at the strength to the dimension and direction of the soul that is in touch with. That does not filter anything, or as called the calcium combination of it is a filtering process for the information of the body of the man's in contraction between the soul of physicality and the soul of the man. So one of the reasons, for example, that we remember as dreams is because the soul of the man transfers his knowledge, transfers his line of communication through the eye of the man. And in that process, as the fields come and go, in conjunction and interaction with the cell of the brain, create that information which the soul have access to. So in a way, when we dream, we look at the communication between the soul and outside. And by having that filter of brain, some of it stays with us. That's why many of our dreams has no meaning to us. It's just a dream. But in fact, it's what is your soul is involved in. What your soul is there doing is function, and you see the reflection of the communication. So in a way, the soul of the man has a vision, emotion of the vision, because in that process, because he uses his emotion of vision, it interacts with the emotional vision cells of the body of the man, which is in the brain, which manifests itself as your dream. So the soul of the man communicates, recognizes, and converts its energy to recognize, see. And from it will come in the future teaching what we call the emotion, which will come from this interaction. And in these processes, life for the soul becomes much easier. In the dimension of physicality of the man, the soul of physicality of the man, we see the body of the man. When you see through the vision of the soul, it has not any restriction into the dimension and colors or shapes, because it has its own strength. In those strengths, animals with 2 legs and 2 arms don't exist to be a human. So mankind, now that it opens up into universal dimension and understand the spectrum of the strength of his soul in the line of communication with others, expect to see things you've never seen before, because now is you allow the visualization of it. So as it says, I made man in the image of myself. If man can see and recognize, so the soul, because which is the creator of it, man uses the eye to recognize, uses the feel the strength. Does not matter if even you are blind, you still carry feeling. Doesn't matter if even you don't have an eye. The knowledge today we have, we can create an eye in the cavity of the eye. It's within our power. Because when the cavity is made, when the whole of the eye is made, the position for the eyes are already there. You cannot change it. As I've said many times, if you have a kidney and you're missing one, through the knowledge we have, because of the process of the information in DNA and RNA, we can create a condition that the second kidney will be produced. This is not fairy tale. Now we understand the process of positioning and the presence. So we can position and present and show the development, and we have the knowledge to create that. Many things in the new process of knowledge, with the understanding of the universal knowledge, will become things man could not do, but now become natural processes. Because now we go to the soul to create it, because it's the soul which has the capability to deliver the energies, overseeing the what I call misfunctioning of the physical soul. In that process, the soul of the man has the capability to create vision for itself to understand, not necessarily in the dimension of the physicality, but in the dimension of field strength, that through its conversion within the structure of the soul, we recognize if it's good, if it's bad, and how to react. The emotion of interaction, the emotion of reaction is part of what we learn in the future. These are the basic alphabets of the emotions. If we don't understand them later on, when the more complicated, complex emotions come into operation, mankind will be lost. But when you have the basic, you can always go through and see which one interacts with what and what's the reason. In this process, man has a vision, not only through his eyesight, but man has a vision through his soul. And when we see another soul, we recognize it's good, it's bad. And what is spectrum of the lies of physicality is danger to me, or I have to position myself that I can keep my integrity, or I can keep its integrity. I shall not steal. And the process of the vision in the dimension of the soul is in the level of the soul magnetic field strength, and in the level of the accessibility to that field of strength by the soul of physicality, or by the soul itself, because anything above at higher order would not be deciphered because it's not open. The soul has not matured to be able to analyze what the information means. So in that level, we become aware of the totality by the interaction or by manifestation of the lights, not in a way lights, magnetic fields which create certain interactions with our soul that our soul recognizes according to his emotion. Is this the field of love wants to give me? Is it the field that he wants to take from what I'm giving? Is it something that it could be endangered because it can take all of what I have to the level I want to give? And this balancing of the acts become part of the existence of the vision of the man, the soul of the man. And in the coming time, mankind will become to be able to see with both. To see through the eye of the soul and to see through the eye of the man. And sometimes simultaneously do the both. I do that. I sit in front, I see the physicality. I sit in front, I see the soul. The soul tells me something else and the physicality is something else. And I say, you're lying and cheating. Because I cannot tell you anything else. Because I see the soul, I see the truth, but it's not for me to decide. It's for you to change the conduct. When I give fully from the soul, that the interaction with the interaction of the full light of the soul of you shows what the reality is, what is the interaction, and what you try to filter when you bring the emotion of the physicality. When I talk to people, I talk to the soul. And then I get my response back in a physical dimension. And I see what did the soul say and what did the physicality say. But I can never interfere. I'm a witness. I cannot tell you're lying because I'm witness. Because then I have to judge the same as you, and then I don't get involved. This is what the soul vision means. It means at the same time as you're looking to see in the dimension of physicality, you look at the strength of the soul, and you get the answer from both at the same time. You become an expert at it as you learn the ways of interaction of the souls, and you get better at it as you become. Mankind will become involved partially in the structure of his own soul. We decide what to give. We decide what to take. We decide what we want to see, that we don't embarrass our physical soul and acts of our soul. We become in a position that we decide what strength we shall release, that we give to elevate, that becomes the same as us. We try not to make available what can be in danger for us. So through what we call emotion of a vision, which is from the interaction of the fields at the level of the observation, man becomes very rapidly mature. This is one of the cornerstones of the maturity, to be able to see the soul and the soul of physicality at the same time and match. Does it say the same thing? Or it says what I like to hear, but is lying to me? Or changing it? This is the process. This is what I've said many times. I don't remember what I say because I don't need to lie, because this is what it is at that time and a point. Then it builds up to what is the next step. And then through the vision, you see what has come out of. What is the response of? What we call the emotion of knowledge and the emotion of vision will become the emotion of reaction. And that emotion of reaction is totally in what fields the knowledge allows the vision to allow the physicality or the soul itself to get involved and engaged in. Because do I want to be in the process of presence in this position of knowledge and the vision? Or do I want to be in the, what I call, position where my presence and my knowledge creates danger to me? I move out because the vision says the information is this, what I see. What we call the emotional vision for man in the depth of space will become its lifeline. It's the only way, more or less, except a couple of other conditions, other emotions, which man would rely on. And in so many ways, in the future, when man carries the soul of the physicality with the soul of the man, the line of the vision to physicality will be blinded because it's so overwhelming that the physical brain in its emotion cannot handle it because it's not aware of. And secondly, it's too powerful for it to. It can create you like a stroke because you cannot see. There could be so much beauty. There could be so much what I call giving that the body of the man is not mature to it. So it's blinded to it. It blinds itself because by not seeing in a physical dimension allows it to exist. When I flood you with love and you cannot see how much love, you try to reject it. You pass it because I cannot handle it because it's too much. And in being too much, I have to give back the same, and I don't want to because I put restriction on it. With a vision of the soul, we see this is what we call loving, means giving unconditionally, openly and without condition, where the souls find their own position because it's part of vision of the soul. Then you see what I see. Then you feel what I feel. Then, in so many ways, the soul of vision, the soul of the emotion of the vision of the soul is one of the cornerstones of recognizing, not by physical dimension, but by field strength, which runs into the depth of the source of the creation to balance you out. What other fields are interacting with this vision? What other fields are interacting with this soul that I have to watch, that I do not put them in danger? I do not move them because I want to, unless they want to move themselves. When we see with what we call emotion of vision through the dimension of the soul, everything which is connected to that soul, which we see, has to accept the new position, the new knowledge, the new, what we call presence. Then when they all accommodate, it'll be manifest. It'll be for us to see that we can take action and reaction towards it. In a way, the source of the emotion of the vision comes from interaction of the fields of the soul and the soul present, and the feedback from that interaction. What will be visualized from it, what we will see from it, is the soul good for me, or is this soul, it could be in danger with me or for me? And then we take position. Vision in the dimension of the soul is very different than the vision that the man sees objects. Vision of the soul sees the strength of the fields without physicality, and with it appreciates its beauty and what it has and what it can give for it to elevate. You cannot ever take through the dimension of the soul. The soul of vision, mankind will come to learn, is sacrosanct. And man, through the soul and the emotion of the vision, will dictate most of his presence and position. I feel, I see, and if it's good, I want to manifest myself. I want to be present, and in which position I want to be, and with which knowledge which I carry. Then you understand why we are teaching the emotions step by step in a way that they are linked together and build up the structure for man to live in the depth of the universe without ever being in danger. My job is to make sure mankind and the rest of the creators are always safe and understand the safety of their own existence, that not only they don't put their own, what I call existence in danger, but do not interfere with the others too. Accommodating, but not taking. Not to take to accommodate, but to give, that if they need, they can take from to accommodate themselves if they want. This is what I always say. I always ask. And if given, is totality, not part, because you cannot adjust yourself to part. Then the other parts which are hidden can affect the position and can endanger me or you or the position of the souls. when you are given is totality, is not by part. And in totality, which that part of it interacts with you and is part of the existence. In a way, it goes back to what I always said. Mankind needs to be very kind to his own soul and nothing else, for it not to lose its position and its strength. Not to be selfish, but not to put the others in danger that it has to pay from its source for what is done and what is positioned wrong. You cannot jump in the pool and expect everybody to run away. You walk into the pool and people open up and accommodate you to be part of. This is how life should be. The one who jumps in disturbs everything, and this is not the job of the soul of man. The one who jumps in is the soul of physicality. The one who walks in and accommodates is the soul of the man. It's the same game, the same space, and the same time. Man chooses. But in fact, the people in the pool are observant to totality. They see both the jump and they see the walking. And this is how the man and the mankind has to understand his own position. And with it has the visualization through the soul to see what's in the pool and who am I going to hurt, or how I can accommodate that nobody moves unless they want to, that I have a space to be part of, to be community of. And with that vision, I always keep my own strength and my own dimension. The emotion of the vision will touch man the first time when he is what I call privileged to see it, to have access to it. You will see nothing but beautiful lights. In so many ways, as I explained before, it's like just watching a firework. All those sparks in the sky, each one lightening on their own spot, and all beautiful, collectively making the beautiful light. And this is what the mankind will see. An ocean of fireworks, and each fire, each spark is one soul. Then you decide to concentrate on, communicate with, and how to access that they can access to you, that they can show your beauty, and they can recognize you to show their beauty. In the world of the soul, there is nothing bad. It's all beautiful. It's just that what you want to take has to be not to darken the environment, but to enlighten. In so many ways, those of you who elevate to this point of seeing with this eye of vision will cry because it's so beautiful. It's such a firework of souls with so many different colors, with so many different beauties that man asks himself one question. And that is, why have I been blind to this? Would you like to see these gorgeous, beautiful lights shining like a star? Or the painful life of physical existence? Then you might understand what we suffer with on this planet when we know the beauty on that side. We are aware of totality, but to bring mankind to the level of understanding of universe, we accept such a burden. I've shown these shining lights as a shooting star for man to see through the vision of the soul, not through the dimension of vision of physicality. And collectively, man decides if he's seen the light to the dimension of the soul, the vision of the soul, or vision of the physicality. If you see the light in the dimension of physicality, it means you have not matured enough. But you could be on the path because now you see what I wanted you to see with the eye of physicality, and then I can show you the beauty of the firework in the dimension of the soul of the in so many ways, mankind has trapped himself to the dimension of the soul of physicality due to his lack of trust in himself and the trust in the strength of the soul of the man. One day, with the coming time, mankind will mature to this. But it won't happen all at the same time. It's according to the time, the place, and the strength of the soul. Maybe many of you will understand soon the day of judgment. The day of judgment in so many ways is the day when you'll be able to see the beauty of the firework, that you judge. Do I want to stay in the dimension of physicality and suffer so much in that dimension, or choose the path to the light, to the stars, to the dimension of the universal community and lights of the universe? Then every day is a day of judgment, because you have to stay correct. Every action will be the same. That's why I always said, when you ask and given, that part goes away, because it's given for you to see the beauty, and with it you give love back, that it allows for the lights to shine. In that process, what they call the soul of vision becomes the soul of life, the existence of life, and nothing else. In essence, mankind has to learn to see what I call intuition and the strength of the soul and the strength of the soul of physicality, or in the dimension of the soul, which is the physical dimension, in its own strength, not at the strength of the what I call physical body. When you move into the dimension of vision of the soul, you shall see every creature and creation and entity in the universe, because that's where it sits. When you sit with the dimension of physicality, the vision is limited to the horizon. In the dimension of the what we call the vision of the soul, there is no horizon. It's from eternity to eternity. All shall be seen and all shall be open to all to see. And now you understand why one of the commandments is, thou shalt not lie. And this is what Moses kept away, as it's been in the 24, what we call messages. Because if he would have said to people, they all would have known that he's lying in what he brought as part of the message he hasn't given aloud. and he had to abide by it. The solar vision in the dimension of emotion of the vision is one of the sacrosanct cornerstones of the creation. You see part when it's filtered to the strength of the man, and you call it a dream. And sometimes, even when you're in a physical time, you start seeing things and feeling emotion, and what you say, I was daydreaming. No, in fact, you've been present to the communication between your soul and others, and you're a witness to it live, but you have never understood this. In so many ways, mankind will go through this process very rapidly in the coming time, especially when, what we said, all the souls reach to that point of elevation. Now maybe you understand the difference between the vision of the man and the vision of the soul of the man, where in the dimension of vision of the soul, we see every presence of every entity which we have connection to, which is the totality of the creation, even the creator. And in dimension of physicality, we can only see what is been allowed for us to see in the spectrum of the strength of the amino acid of the man. The spectrum strength of the amino acid man is the cage to his vision. It's a narrow point, is a goggle you wear and you only see through that peeping hole and nothing more what happens around. With the teaching of the soul and the vision of the soul, we allow you to take this goggle or this restriction out and see the totality through the vision of the soul of the man. Maybe now we understand more, and it's part of the visions which will come, and we'll see more and more will be taught, and then we have to understand. Then we have to mature into the time, place, and space. Maybe mankind, in time, when he understands these, the new emotions which is open to it, will understand it can manifest itself anywhere, any point, any position, with the knowledge and be seen, any position in the universe. Then maybe one day you will understand when we say we manifest Christ and other prophets of God to the vision of the man, as their soul decides to manifest, and the man is prepared to see the truth. It's your soul who decides to see, not for us to manifest. The vision is what we call emotion of the vision, reaches the point that you make access to see and to be seen. Then you choose at that level. If you reach the point of maturity of that soul is visible to you and no more. I hope the words not only understood by the ear and the brain of but is heard through the soul of the man too, that he matures the new levels, that enlightens the others to be able to see. But for that, as we prepare, we have to wait till March. And if that position takes place, all depends on a lot to be taking place from now until then. It has to be pure and it has to be one direction, as a giver and one love and one care. And this is, as I repeat, that's what we said. It takes only one soul to mature not only the souls on this planet, but throughout the universe, for all to be equal and the same. And that soul is about to come. It's not the day of judgment. It's the birth of new life for the universe. And understanding the totality of it with love and care. And in so many ways, a new vision is an horizon of understanding the knowledge of the universe, for all to be equal in all essence of creation. We have collected from every field of every creation for that point to come, that collectively creates and is in contact and is part of the totality of all, from all universe, and not only this planet and this universe. In essence, we have collected the totality of the fields of the Creator, and with it, we shall create a new creation. Will be adored and respected by all who have been created and will be created. That will be the time when we all shall see the same. One beauty, one light, and the source and the essence of the creation that we all connect to. And that's what we call the soul of the creation.
Really amazing experience to really feel that. I'm not sure. I think this is what you mentioned, the vision of a soul.
In a way, do we look to the eye just to see the beauty of it, or do we look into the eye to see the soul? And what eye hides for the soul not to be seen? And in so many ways, we choose not to see, but it's all there to be seen.
Yes, actually, I can speak that kind of funny light language, but sometimes when I find people can understand, they translate, and then I can understand, oh, that is come out from my soul. Sometimes I can feel, oh no, it's not what I want to talk. But when I listen carefully to feel that, I can say, oh, maybe that's the real thing come out from my soul. So then I can understand that the physical soul or the emotion of physical soul has different with the our soul feeling or what the vision of that. So how we can coherent it, because this makes people confusion. Then you are always struggling. This is your ego, the feeling of your ego, but that's your soul, that's your feeling of your soul, and you are struggling. This is my ego want, that is my soul want, and then you're fighting. So how we can coherent with our physical soul and soul?
Yeah. Well, the point is we see, we share, but we need to understand that we got to start maturing to the point to see through both eyes, as I said, the eye of the man and the eye of the soul through the same peeping hole, and recognize each at the same time, not to interfere, not to cause hurt and loss to the other. In so many ways, mankind is entering a chapter in this, what I call evolution of life, that up to now he has evolved in the dimension of physicality. With our presence, we open what we call evolution in the maturity of the soul of the man. That now is time for man to understand the maturity of his soul and bringing the two together, that it lives as one. In so many ways, life has to exist in both dimensions of the physicality and soul, and both respected by both. Then the man or any creature will be mature. Time and space. Any other question?
Well, Ed had a question in the Q&A that's similar in a way. He says, is this living in transparency in the soul dimension a major point of resistance for the physicality, since we are so accustomed to being able to hide our thoughts and emotions?
Can you repeat that?
That's kind of a backwards question, but is this living in transparency in the soul dimension a major point of resistance for the physicality, since we are so accustomed to being able to hide our thoughts and emotions?
Why do we need to hide? If we are proud of what we are and who we are.
So this seems to be what we're moving towards in our societies and cultures, is more transparency. But we've been accustomed to hiding our thoughts and emotions, and you can't really hide your thoughts and emotions if people are telepathic and have already got you figured out in the first few seconds of interactions anyway. It's like you were saying earlier, people that are in front of you and you're assessing or appraising their where they're coming from. They may be hiding their thoughts or emotions, and that's what they're used to in some way. But it all becomes transparent when you enter into that dimension where the soul exists.
In a way, we have a beautiful saying, Farsi. We say, I laugh for you not to see my sorrows. In a way, we choose to see through the eye of physicality because we can't stand the pain that how beautiful is the other side. And we don't need to die to see the other side. If you mature to the reality, we can live in both and see both. And then at the same time, when we see that the soul of physicality is getting weaker, that it can lead to its demise, we open a channel through the soul of the man to feed it, to keep it, to nourish it. And in that process, there's a very big question. And that is, are we ready to see through the eye of the man both? Or in fact, do we see both, but we choose only to see or to recognize the eye of physicality? And if, in so many ways, mature enough to the level that some do, you see both at the same time.
You mentioned in the last workshop about the emotion of presence. It seemed to happen mostly when the physicality is, what you said, was off or in a standby condition. How does that relate to the emotion of vision? Is that when the physicality is on standby?
No. Go and read it or say what you just said. What you just said.
The emotion of presence occurs when the physicality is off or in standby.
You see the presence? Yeah, in a way, the emotion of the presence in a soul level or understanding in the universal level is when the vision agrees that is safe for it to manifest, to be present. I cannot just appear and then end up in the ocean and drown myself. I have to see if it's the right place for me to manifest itself, to be present. And you are blind to it. You will not see it. You go on a standby because the vision has not confirmed the safety, the confirmation of no damage, not to me, but to the others. And this is part of what we try to explain. And in so many ways, mankind has, in reality, to open its eyes to the true vision of the soul and a vision of the man in a physical dimension. It's very much, it's like you're in a plane and you fly. You have an inside environment you have to watch, and you are floating in the environment outside. You have to monitor what's happening outside and make decisions in what happens. Inside the cabin, you just see the walls and the chairs. Outside, you see the whole of the planet. And this is how the soul of the man, both in the vision, in the physicality, and in what I call dimension of the soul is. We see a bigger view, we see a bigger picture, and we interact what is going to outside. Doesn't matter, we are a small plane flying. But our position is dictated by what is available outside. And we dictate our position inside, how we're going to react inside. But the two coexist. And from outside, somebody looking, he sees a plane, and if he looks closer, he sees you inside the plane, the physicality. This is the beauty of the creation, but mankind has become very narrow-minded. Very, very narrow-minded. And it's just, for whatever reason, has decided to only see through the whole, the peephole of physicality, or the dimension of the strength of the physical life. Where from the beginning, he was aware of both. Any other question?
We've got some further questions in the Q&A. I'm not quite clear on Dan's question here. It says, my question is whether we know plasma technology is a crutch to raise the soul, or do we need to have other beliefs to rise? I think you'd have to ask the question in person, Dan, to try to get the meaning across. It says, like, people use plasma for COVID, but they don't understand what this technology is. So I'm not quite clear on that question. I'll have to figure that out. There was a question from Doug McDonald, the first question actually, been kind of going backwards through them. He says there was a shockwave going through the Australian army and population today as many war crimes by the Australian soldiers in Afghanistan have been revealed. The generals are saying this was only done by a few rogue individuals. Can Mr. Keshe explain again the responsibilities and consequences for all the decision makers who create or participate in warfare?
Every time it's in public is a few, but the leaders are there who have hidden it. And even we see the same thing today in many, many aspects. If the world leaders won't allow injustice to happen, the world will change, because correct elected people, selected people will get to the position for them to show if they have the capability to bring a better life for the people and the citizens. We see it today. The world leaders decided it's a very powerful position. And it's the first time we see this, as we've been witness to supposedly the superpower of the world choosing a leader. The rest of the world leaders kept quiet till was shown that a new person has brought enough support to take new position as a leader. The rest did not wait. They confirmed acceptance. In a way, for the first time, outside world accepted the new leader of the new, what we call, power. It's very unusual. Congratulating a newly not confirmed elected, but knowing the correct, they confirm an acceptance to work with him. We see the maturity of the man to be correct is growing. And with this way, a lot of things will change. The world leadership, in essence, needs to still to change. But world leaders know what their soldiers do and the atrocities they've done. And they covered it up till it came out, and they say it was done by a few. It was kept by the leaders that hopefully nobody will understand. We saw the same misconduct with the soldiers of Holland in one occasion, which ended up with the death of many in Eastern Bloc a few years ago. And we see it now with Australians, we've seen it with American forces, we've seen it with even going back to the Roman time. But in the time of and place of position and power abusing it. And in essence, we should have no soldiers. to abuse. We should not have nations to be abusive to the other one. When we are one nation, we care about all the same. And this is about to come about. We've seen a lot of changes. And as I said in other teachings, every nation carries the burden of shame. And collectively we have to put it right, not one by one. And one of the ways of it is a total, absolute disarmament. Not with new technologies, not with the old technologies, not with what might come. Absolute and total disarmament. Man will never make arms. And this has to become the banner of what I call the world leaders. And it's the job of the Universal Council and the heads of the Keshe Foundation to make sure from the sources and the resources available to them, no such opportunity is risen by actually teaching the soul of the man and teaching the man to walk away from it. When you understand you're responsible for the death of one, then you take that action, not to be responsible. And we see now in Western Europe, as I said before, how governments of Western Europe, they know there's going to be uprising against the injections which they are trying to force to control population. We observe militaries from one nation are moving to another. To be detached from when you shoot, to be detached from when you drag them out of their houses, because you don't understand the language. This is primarily in that position. We saw that the same in early this year in another part of the world when the people were dragged out or they were shot on the street to control. And now we've seen the reports of military on the streets of Western Europe at night. But they're aware of what they've been ordered to do. Central European forces have decided how to move people who are detached, and there is some haterism in them that when they handle, they have no mercy. All these lockdowns in Western Europe has a reason, and we shall see very soon. Again, they say it wasn't our soldiers. We had the same in another revolution, where soldiers from an army were brought in and people were massacred and they're taken out. And they paid for it. Any other question?
Yes, we have a familiar friend, Jalal, that would like to say something here. Just get him lined up. There we go.
Good day, Mr. Cash. Thank you, Rick. Mr. Cash, about the F1. If F1 created out of the three components, or it works both way? F1, who is the creator of the three components?
The collective sharing of the common denominator and totality of the fields leads to the creation of F1. And once F1 takes hold, it will become the supplier to all that all states equal. And this is one of the reasons that every object in the universe is more or less spherical shape. To be able to cover in all dimensions. If you take a square shape or whatever, you have leftovers. But the spherical is covered in totality. And in a way, we put everything together to make a headquarters for that headquarters to run all of us equal. And that's how F1 is. It's created out of, and at the same time, when it's created, because it has common denominator with everyone, it covers everyone to be within in that common denominator strength. Every cell in our body, in the body of the man, has a common denominator that wants to be part of. It doesn't want to be the part of your cell of body. It wants to be my cell of body because it fits into the structure of the strength of the soul, which I carry, which they put together to create me, for me to carry, to protect them. In a way, we put all chip in to make an army, that army protects all of us. And that army, what we call in the center, you got the field force, that everybody is put in, all the cells, and then in that process, if you go from, let's say, highest level after F1, which is the highest energy in field strength, to the matter state, you all still receive and have a connection to that down common denominator till you arrive there, what you call the transition.
Yeah, I know it's getting late here. Perhaps we can ask one question from someone I'm not familiar with, Ben Buchanan, in the Q&A, who says, I'm a master butcher and I'm trying to bring back the reverence and respect for the animal during slaughter. What can I do to help facilitate this and bring more life force energy in the meat? I would like to implement plasma water, but not sure how to apply it in this application.
In so many ways, in the Islamic world, they say a prayer for it. In the same with the Jewish religion, you slaughter with a prayer that it gives blessing to the soul. In so many ways, now they just put the recording as just a noise, just because the truth about the reality of the slaughtering a life or taking a life is thanking for the gift of life he gives. And it's never been understood. In the Western slaughterhouses or in the Middle Eastern slaughterhouses, it's just a tape playing blah, 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 blah. but it has lost its essence, which is in fact to give from our soul to the soul of the animal and make the passage of life less painful or in a way acceptable to the extent if it can be accepted. And in so many ways, willingness to give is different than taking without willing. In so many ways, do we need to go to this extent, or as we do, can we provide structure in the essence of the emotion to be at peace till mankind learns the time that not to consume others? Maybe one way is to allow the animal to have a time with being able to be given the chance to elevate his soul and for both to understand the time and position. And understanding how and what it means to take life. And if I'm there, ready to give life. This, what you say, has been one of my biggest dilemma from childhood. I was brought up in a what I call Muslim family surrounding, and even my mother, who was from the Jewish background, came to it that the slaughtering of the animals when you bought a new car, when you moved to a new house or something was done, is normal. And many times as a child I stood and looked at it, I said, why do we have the right to do this? Who gives us the right to do this? In so many ways, until you haven't seen it and understood the emotion of life, it's very hard to explain if you're a butcher or observer of it. We don't see it, we get it on the plate, cut in pieces, or in chicken or whatever in the supermarkets or in the butcher shop. But the process is something which I could never understand. And I said many times to my mother, I said, you come from a Jewish background. Why do we have to do this? And to my cousins from the Muslim side, it was something you did to take the bad luck, to take what I call a bad eye. Why do we have to go to that path of belief? I never understood. And the only way is to elevate the soul of the animal, that it finds a path to a higher order as it gives its life to us. But we've done it so much and we do it so much that we don't think anymore. We used to do this when we didn't believe in the soul and we were worshipping the statues. We slaughtered animals to give it to God. But this God doesn't need that. But the mankind has carried on with the same process because he has to feed itself. Maybe with the new understanding and technology, mankind would not do that. But maybe for sure. therefore it's important to raise the soul of the animal, that you compensate for what is lost. And in a way, in any shape or form, we give from our souls for theirs to be elevated. Just because it's got four legs doesn't mean it have the same emotional feeling as we have. He loves his child the same. He doesn't like cold. He still suffers from the pain and everything else. Any other question?
The only thing, there's probably a couple of questions left over. We had Beatrice with a hand up previously. I'm not sure if they still would like to talk, and if so, they'll need a translator with Dan or someone else, John Wells or whatever. Beatrice, do you still wish to speak? Okay, well, perhaps not. One more question from Ike in the Q&A. Mr. Keshe, what can we do to slow down or stop the military killing that might come?
I'd like to stay out of this discussion because I can tell you what. But we cannot create fear trying to prove what we say. The work more or less goes on all the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers. To raise the soul of the world leaders and to understand what it means to carry out such atrocities. It will affect many of us for centuries to come. The latest one, as we see, as is mentioned in one of the chat rooms, Pfeiffer's product carries a nanomaterial that never been tested. And claim 90% success without any proven clinical trials, just because a president has taken a bribe, his last payment. But would it be approved is another point for people to accept. As I said, in olden times, when there was a war, the king and the leader took the front of the row of army for him to head, to be in the front, to take what comes. And I think the same should apply this time round. All the world leaders, all the ministers, all the rulers, ministers, and health ministries, let them take the first injections, all of them and their families. We give them 7 days, 14 days. If they come out with no side effect, we follow. Those who give orders to do such a thing, they have to show its safety. If it's nothing, no poison in the chalice, we all survive. If world leaders, all the ministers, all their family, the grandchildren, those, even the soldiers who want to carry, ask them a question. You take as you tell us first, and we monitor. 14 days. If they're dead, they cannot carry out the mission. And if they're all safe and good and nothing happens to them, then we say, okay. We don't ask or we don't encourage uprising or do things. This is the reason we established the Universal Council. And not the blind obedience, but understanding the logical for the rest of the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation. To give, to pray, to give, to elevate the soul of the leaders of your nations and the languages you speak. And let's see what happens. Keshe Foundation will release the technology very rapidly, and we know it's going to be closed down or they go for everything to stop. But we will show that there is no need for injection. But at the same time, we have the same dilemma in all the nations. And I think the head of WHO, Mr. Gates and his family have to be injected first. The one who promotes has to take the bullet first. And somewhere, world governments have to take the injections first themselves. If it's good for them and their family and they have no problem, so we stand by our leaders. And disobedient and fighting will bring nothing but more loss of life. We passed the time of fighting. If millions of Keshe Foundation supporters will listen to these teachings, put their souls to elevate the world leaders, you'll find a solution. Solution will be found, not by injection. But unfortunately, we are all so tempted with everything else that we don't even know, as we say in English, chaps from the world. If you could find the chaps, you could find a word and you could separate them, then you'll be very, very clear about it. It's in many ways the lure of to be the richest man in the world has brought the biggest misery for mankind. And this is the target of Mr. Gates. My only wish is his soul and his family's soul to be elevated, that they do not find space and dimension in the dimension of the soul of physicality. And maybe we get a chance. And the same goes for the world leaders. By elevating their soul, that they cannot find, to confine the physicality, that mankind finds peace. There's a big problem with the 5-years injection, as I read today, posted in one of the chat rooms. It has to be kept at 70 degrees. What happens from that point till it comes out to be given injection to a man and solidifies in the heart. How come it's got to be kept at 70 degrees plus and it's supposed to operate at 37.5 degrees in the body of the man? Disaster. Solidification, immediate death. We took body bags out of the hospitals with corona. We'll take body bags out of the homes with injection of the viruses. This is what I see as I understand the operation of nanomaterials in the body of the man. God help humanity. It's a one-track business and 150 million in the pocket of the president, private account, last cash out. And the other world leaders who want to reduce the burden of the pensions by taking those who are pensioned out. As I said before, only the rich will survive if you have to pay 50, 100,000 a year to the government, like we pay life tax, it's called. It will come into operation very soon. You want to stay alive, doesn't matter what you do, you have to pay 50, 100,000 euro a year to the government. And if you're sick and you can't pay, you got corona, an injection will end it. This is part of the bigger damage has been done over the years by these pension policies and the wrong decisions by the governments. And at the same time, what they tell you, they're going to inject the healthcare first and then the weak and whatever. Because when you kill millions, you don't need hundreds of thousands of doctors to support it. They will come out with a complaint. Doctors who complain will receive the injections first. And when a doctor gave 1,000 injections, all died. Now he will commit suicide, or the injection given to him will do the same. World leaders have to take the injections for their nations first. If they all survive, they do. The same with the religious leaders who encourage this. They have to take it first. We shall see. It's heading up in that way. How many will be allowed to take it and how many will be forced to take it? And as we see from Emirates, the report of injections are not very good. We've seen the same in China. Thank you very much for today. And as we progress into the next level of understanding, we try to develop a new dimension, a new understanding of the work of the universe. And hopefully, in understanding it, we can change a lot of things without trying to use the tool of physicality. And one day, one day mankind will find out the power of the soul of the man is much more powerful than anything man has made in the dimension of physicality. And one day humanity will mature enough to understand no one can take nothing for ransom, because the payment of it is much harder than trying to in some way create harm and damage to a soul, to a nation, or to a race. Thank you very much for it. And I hope you see with the illusion of your soul and your physicality in equal measure that mankind finds peace. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Keshe, for
Mamy koniec tłumaczenia tego warsztatu. Jeśli ktoś chciałby zabrać głos, to zapraszamy.
Dobry wieczór. Ja mam pytanie odnośnie poprzedniego warsztatu, którego nie można znaleźć w internecie. Czy coś może wiecie na ten temat?
Tak. Były jakieś problemy w innych grupach językowych, gdzie YouTube z powodu zawartości treści takich pod kątem medycznych zablokował jeden z podkanałów Fundacji jednego z języków. I w związku z tym tam są pewne, nie wiem do końca jakie tam są konsekwencje, ale za następnym razem jak YouTube blokuje, to wtedy już w ogóle nie można wrzucać filmików przez jakiś tam okres czasu, więc są podjęte właśnie kroki takie, że te treści mają być najpierw sprawdzane. My będziemy też mieli nowe reguły, znaczy jedną można powiedzieć planszę na wstępie każdego wykładu publicznego, która będzie zawierać informacje, że tutaj wyrażamy swoje opinie i że każdy, kto ma jakiś stan fizyczny, powinien zobaczyć się z lekarzem i gdzieś tam w kontekście tego, że fundacja tutaj nie zastępuje porady medycznej, nie są to intencjonalnie treści medyczne przedstawiane, tylko dyskusja wokół takich tematów, więc powiedzmy gdzieś to jest jakiś powód, dla którego tych wykładów tam nie ma, ale w najbliższym czasie myślę, że kwestia paru tygodni te wykłady się powinny pojawić.
No, dziękuję.
A jeśli chodzi o same tłumaczenia, to Jarku, w dalszym ciągu wrzucamy na nasz kanał, tak? Całe warsztaty z tłumaczeniami.
Jeśli chodzi o niektóre, tylko wtedy, kiedy mnie nie ma, to jest raz chyba jeden warsztat, na którym mnie nie ma po prostu.
Ale chodzi mi o to, że oprócz tego nagrywania publicznych, to samo tłumaczenie, czyli napisy na przykład do 355, to jak mamy już komplet napisów, to zazwyczaj wrzucamy na kanał nasz polski na YouTubie i wtedy sobie można chociażby sam warsztat obejrzeć, nie? Jeśli to jest ta część.
Tak, staram się to wszystko na bieżąco uaktualniać, jeżeli kompletne są napisy do danego warsztatu, także on jest wrzucany i ten warsztat, który był dzisiaj, prawdopodobnie jutro na wieczór już będzie dostępny.
No, także doraźnie za dzień, dwa ten warsztat będzie dostępny. To można sobie obejrzeć samą treść tego, co dr Keshe mówił, oczywiście bez tych naszych dyskusji gdzieś pod koniec, a te publiczne warsztaty w języku polskim, czyli pełne nagranie, za parę tygodni powinno już na YouTube się pojawić.
Tak więc dzięki, Przemek, za wyjaśnienie, bo z tego co wiem, to wiele osób się pytało o to. Są jeszcze pytania może jakieś? Ktoś chciałby coś opowiedzieć, przedstawić?
Okej, to ja może postaram się wypunktować pokrótce te główne tematy, które w tej drugiej części warsztatu dr Keshe poruszał. Mówił tutaj, na początek zaczął o wapniu w czaszce, który filtruje tą komunikację pomiędzy duszą człowieka a duszą fizyczności i poprzez właśnie tą filtrację, spowalnianie tych pól przez wapń w naszej czaszce, te informacje z komunikacji naszej duszy, czyli przede wszystkim też możemy tutaj się odnieść do tego stanu snu. W ten sposób te informacje są filtrowane, zwalniają te pola, osadzają się w mózgu i mamy jakieś szczątkową pamięć tego, co działo się, czy to na poziomie snu, czy po prostu komunikacji z innymi duszami. Tutaj dr Keshe dość obszernie rozwijał cały czas wokół tematu emocji, wizji, czy postrzegania, obserwacji, że pochodzi ona z interakcji dwóch dusz. Dostrzegamy każdą duszę, każdej istoty, nawet kreatora w ten sposób. Czyli tutaj mieliśmy to rozgraniczenie na widzenie na poziomie fizyczności. Tutaj była ta analogia z samolotem, tak jakbyśmy byli zamknięci w samolocie, można powiedzieć, jest ten świat, który, czy z zewnątrz chociażby ktoś jest w stanie dostrzec cały samolot, ale jakby przybliżył bliżej, jest w stanie dostrzec też detale tego, co jest w środku samolotu, czyli tutaj można powiedzieć, że gołym okiem jest w stanie tylko dostrzec ten samolot, który jest widoczny na zewnątrz. I to jest ta analogia, której dr Keshe tutaj użył, żeby właśnie rozgraniczyć tą dwuliniowość czy dwutorowość, gdzie to postrzeganie na poziomie fizycznym jest w pewien sposób ograniczone przez horyzont, który widzimy tym można powiedzieć fizycznym okiem, a jeśli chodzi o poziom komunikacji, właśnie tą wizję, dostrzeganie na poziomie duszy, tu nie ma ograniczeń, jesteśmy w stanie dosięgnąć swoją komunikacją, swoją tą wizją, obserwacją, jesteśmy w stanie dotrzeć do każdej wykreowanej istoty, nawet kreatora. I to było pytanie o zależność między tą emocją wizji a emocją obecności, która była przedstawiana na poprzednim warsztacie i dr Keshe tłumaczy to w pewien sposób, że ta emocja postrzegania wizji daje w pewien sposób informację tej emocji obecności do tego, że dane środowisko jest bezpieczne do manifestacji, do manifestowania się w nim. Później było odniesienie, tu może to trochę tajemniczo brzmiało, ktoś zadał pytanie o F1, to było odniesienie bodajże do kawałka, który akurat chyba nie tłumaczyliśmy, tam Ciao Chińczyk odnosił się, jest w trakcie tłumaczenia tej książki doktora Keszego na język chiński, bodajże z tego co pamiętam, i odniósł się tam właśnie do jakiegoś szczegółowego rysunku, bodajże gdzie wszystkie trzy elementy materii, czy już nie pamiętam dokładnie do czego to się tam odnosiło, w każdym razie była tam siła, która nazywała się F1, która w pewien sposób zestalała te trzy komponenty, trzy elementy, które były gdzieś tam obiektem tego pytania. Później mieliśmy szczepionki. Doktor Keshe mówił o tym, że odnosił się tutaj, tak można powiedzieć, pośrednio do Trumpa. Myślę, że każdy, kto gdzieś tam śledzi te światowe media, zdążył zauważyć tę informację, że zatwierdził on zakup dużej ilości szczepionek od którejś tam z firm. Wiadomo, że jego prezydentura kończy się. Tutaj też doktor Keshe wspomniał o tym procesie trochę wybierania nowego prezydenta i przed odejściem tutaj jest mowa o tym, że Trump bierze swoją ostatnią wypłatę, zatwierdza szczepionki i odchodzi z pozycji właśnie prezydenta Stanów Zjednoczonych. A w kontekście szczepionek doktor Keshe mówi, że skoro chcą nam narzucić te szczepionki, to niech liderzy światowi pierwsi wezmą je publicznie. Jeśli przeżyją, to okej, wtedy możemy podążyć ich tropem. A także tutaj wspomina o tym, że żołnierze, lekarze, te wszystkie osoby, które wiadomo są wymieniane jako pierwsze do kolejki, jako pierwsze w tej linii frontu też walki z koronawirusem, więc te grupy gdzieś tam będą pierwsze wyszczepiane i tutaj doktor Keshe mówi o tym, żeby dać im po prostu 14 dni skutki w przypadku chociażby tej szczepionki, która musi być przechowywana w jakiejś tam ekstremalnej temperaturze. Doktor Keshe mówi o tym, że nie będą tego zbyt dobre efekty w ciele, kiedy wiadomo, ta temperatura w ciele jest zupełnie inna niż temperatura przechowywania i wtedy może się dziać właśnie gdzieś koagulacja tych elementów, które są w tej szczepionce w organizmie ludzkim i efekty uboczne z tym związane. Więc tutaj takie zapewnienie, że i zachęcenie przede wszystkim, żeby przekonać populację, przekonać ludzi, żeby liderzy brali pierwsi te szczepionki pierwsi. I w tym procesie możemy się dowiedzieć, jaka będzie ich szkodliwość w pewien sposób. No i to wszystko, jeśli chodzi o streszczenie gdzieś tego drugiej połowy tego warsztatu. Zapraszam, jeśli ktoś ma jakieś pytania albo myśli do podzielenia się. Dzięki.
Więc kończymy na dzisiaj, jeśli nie ma pytań. Więc zapraszamy na kolejne spotkanie, które będzie w czwartek o 21:00. Życzę Wam wszystkiego najlepszego. W tym dniu, kiedy mamy pełnię, w zasadzie już niebawem, za kilka godzin, dużo pokoju, dużo zdrowia, dobrej nocy i do usłyszenia.
Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy. I musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto, co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom, to jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni. Nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.